Hello friends, this is Durga from ITVersity. As software engineers or data engineers or even DevOps engineers, we might have to work with Linux servers quite a lot. Also sometimes we might have to have desktop setup on remote server, and also we should be able to connect to it. In this video, I'll walk you through the details about how to set up remote desktop on Linux server, which is Ubuntu based Linux server, and also how to connect to it using tools like remote desktop on Windows or Mac. Before getting into the details, let me walk you through the prerequisites. First, you need to have a remote Ubuntu 24.x server or VM. In this case, I have set up a remote Ubuntu 24.x server on Azure, but you can set it up on any cloud platform, or you can also rent out from platforms like OVH, Linode, etc. You can see here, this is my Linux-based VM, which is currently running. I have to refresh, then you should be able to see that it is running. You need to have a valid IP address for remote access. It should be public IP. In this case, the IP is nothing but this one. You can see here under public IP address, you should be able to get the public IP. You should be able to use this to connect. Let me see if I will be able to connect to it or not. In this case, I have already set up passwordless login. In case if you want to set up VM like this on Azure, I'll actually provide the link in the description. You can follow the link and you can take it further. But if you already have a remote Ubuntu based server, and if you know IP address and if you know how to connect to it, you can connect to it as I am demonstrating, and you should be able to take it forward. So in this case, I'll be connecting using Windows PowerShell. I have launched the Windows PowerShell. Now I have to use this command ssh-i, then c:/users ITVersity, then .ssh, then ITV demos Ubuntu VM_key.pem. This is the private key which I have downloaded when I set up the VM. Hence, I have to use this. Then the username is nothing but Azure user. I have to paste the IP address. I have already copied it. Hence, I have pasted it here. Now let me hit enter. I'll be able to connect to this remote Ubuntu based server without any issue. Now you see I am in the remote Ubuntu based server. You should be able to clear the screen and then run ls-ltr command, which is a valid Linux command. You can see it have returned the results. Also, if you want, you can actually run this command uname-a. It will give us the details about operating system. You can see it is Ubuntu based server. As we have gone through prerequisites to set up remote desktop on Ubuntu based server, now let's go through high level steps. These high level steps will facilitate us to set up RDP so that we can connect to Ubuntu desktop remotely. The first step is nothing but updating the server to ensure all packages are up to date. Once all the packages on the server are up to date, then we'll install a desktop environment. It can be GNOME or KDE Plasma or XFCE. In this case, we'll be setting up GNOME. After that, we have to install and configure XRDP to enable RDP support. Then, if applicable, we have to adjust firewall settings to allow RDP traffic. Otherwise, we will not be able to connect to remote desktop using RDP. Finally, we will connect to our Ubuntu desktop using an RDP client. As we have understood the high-level steps, now let's explore the desktop options on Ubuntu. Keep in mind, Ubuntu servers come without a graphical user interface, so you will need to install one. In this case, whatever we are using is nothing but Ubuntu terminal. There is no desktop setup on this machine. The three popular desktop environments for Ubuntu are nothing but GNOME, KDE Plasma, and XFCE. GNOME is the default environment for Ubuntu, known for its clean design and usability. When it comes to KDE Plasma, it is customizable and visually appealing option, though resource intensive. If you want a lightweight version, then you should be able to use XFCE. In this case, we will be setting up using GNOME Desktop. Why we are going to set up using GNOME Desktop? Because it is the default choice for Ubuntu and offers a balance between functionality and resource usage. It provides a user-friendly interface with intuitive design and regular updates. While KDE and XFCE are also viable options, GNOME is often favored for its simplicity and integration with Ubuntu's ecosystem. Once GNOME Desktop is set up on Ubuntu, you also need to have a tool to run on the Ubuntu server which can accept remote connections. The popular choices when it comes to connecting to Ubuntu Desktop remotely are nothing but XRDP, VNC, etc. Even we can use TeamViewer, but XRDP is the preferred one here because it is an open source RDP server that provides compatibility with Microsoft's RDP protocol. On top of GNOME Desktop, if you have XRDP on Ubuntu-based server to connect to GNOME Desktop from clients like Windows and Mac, you should be able to use Microsoft Remote Desktop on Windows or Windows app on Mac. Earlier, we used to have Microsoft's Remote Desktop on Mac, but now it is renamed as Windows app. In case if you are not sure about how to set it up and use it, I have provided the link in the description for the video. You should go ahead and set up on Mac so that you can connect it to XRDP based remote desktops. That being said, yeah, we have gone through high level steps. Now we'll get into the details about how to set up GNOME Desktop on Ubuntu, then how to set up XRDP on Ubuntu. We'll also see how to connect to GNOME Desktop via XRDP from Windows or Mac. When it comes to setting up desktop on a remote Ubuntu server and connect to it via RDP based tools, the first step is nothing but to update our Ubuntu based server. For that, we should be able to use apt update command. Let me say sudo apt update. Also, I'm using $&, then I'm saying sudo apt upgrade -y, which means first it will update the apt packages. Then if there are any packages which are supposed to be upgraded, they will be upgraded. I'm using -y at the end so that I'm not prompted to actually upgrade. It will take care of updating and upgrading seamlessly. Now let me hit enter. It will take care of updating and upgrading this Ubuntu server in few minutes. Once it is done, then we can go to the next step. As apt update and upgrade commands ran without any issues, the next step is to set up Ubuntu GNOME Desktop. For that, you have to use this command sudo then apt install Ubuntu GNOME Desktop. You also need to say -y at the end so that you are not prompted to confirm whether you want to install or not. Now let me run this. It will take a bit of time to install GNOME based desktop on this Ubuntu based server. Once it is set up, we'll go to the next step and we'll install XRDP so that we can connect to this via clients such as Windows Remote Desktop or Mac's Windows app. That being said, in case if you wanted to set up other flavors of desktop on Ubuntu, you have the choices such as KDE and XFCE. In case if you wanted to set up either KDE or XFCE, I'll provide the link in the description to our Medium article. You should be able to go to that Medium article and you can follow the instructions. You can even set up desktop using either KDE or XFCE. For now, I'll be completing the setup process for GNOME Desktop on this Ubuntu server. Then I'll actually set up XRDP. GNOME Desktop is set up successfully. You can actually scroll up and see if there are any issues. There might be some warnings you can ignore. You can ignore this, but there are no serious errors. Everything seems to have ran properly, which means GNOME Desktop on this Ubuntu server is ready. Now it is time for us to set up XRDP so that we can connect to desktop on Ubuntu from remote clients. As we are ready with GNOME Desktop, now it is time for us to set up XRDP. To set up XRDP, you should be able to use this command sudo apt install then XRDP -y. You can hit enter to run the command and it will be set up in no time. Unlike GNOME, setting up XRDP is quite fast. When we run this command sudo apt install XRDP -y, it have even created a user by name XRDP. In case if you wanted to use secure connections, we have to add XRDP to SSL-cert group. This is how you should be able to add sudo add user then XRDP SSL-cert. It will take care of adding XRDP user to SSL-cert group. This will facilitate to use secure connections to connect to remote desktop via XRDP. After this, you can also validate to see if XRDP is running or not. For that, you should be able to use telnet command. Telnet command is available on Linux by default. You can hit enter to confirm whether it is there or not. You can see it is there. Now you can say telnet localhost 3389. Hit enter. You can see it is listening, which means XRDP is running on port number 3389. Now let me come out of this. For that, you have to use control and then closing square bracket. I have used opening square bracket. I have to use closing square bracket. Then I can say quit to come out of telnet. as XRDP is running on port number 3389, to connect to it remotely, we might have to even open firewall. To confirm whether we have to open firewall or not, we can use telnet from our Windows machine using IP address of this server along with 3389. If telnet is working, we don't need to open firewall, otherwise we have to open firewall. Now let me exit from this Ubuntu based machine using exit. Now I am in PowerShell. Let me confirm whether I have telnet on Windows or not. It is saying the term telnet is not recognized as the name of a commandlet function, script file or operable program, which means telnet is not set up on this Windows based machine. Don't worry too much, it is quite straightforward. All you need to do is you just have to search for telnet. You have to go to turn Windows features on or off in control panel. Then you have to look out for telnet. These are in ascending order. You just have to go to T. You have to click on this to enable. Now it is enabled. I have just clicked on this small square. Now I should be able to click on OK. You can see it is setting up telnet on this Windows machine. It is one of the features which is already available but disabled. Now let me click on close. It is closed. Now let me exit from here. Let me launch PowerShell once again. Now let me say telnet. You can see this time it is working without any issue. Let me quit from here. Now I should be able to say telnet. Then I have to get the IP address of the server where Ubuntu is set up. It is nothing but this one. Let me copy. Let me paste. Then the port number on which XRDP is supposed to run is nothing but 3389. Let me hit enter. You see I'm not able to connect to the port using telnet, which means I have to come out of this. Control-C didn't work, but after a while it is automatically timed out. You can see the message here. In case if it is not timing out like this, you can always close the PowerShell and you can start and then you can take it forward. Now let me clear the screen. To ensure we can listen to port number 3389 using which XRDP is set up on Ubuntu based VM, we have to act as per the platform on which Ubuntu VM is set up. In this case, my VM is set up using Azure, hence I have to open up the port on Azure portal. Let me go to the Azure portal here. Now I should be able to go to networking and then go to network settings. Let me scroll down. You can see inbound port rules here. Let me create a new port rule. The rule is nothing but any for source. Source port ranges is star or any. Destination is any. Service is custom. Destination port ranges is nothing but 3389. There is only one port which we are opening up. Protocol is any. Action is allow. Priority you can leave the default which is 310. Name is allow any custom 3389 inbound. That should be fine. Now let me click on add. Now the firewall rule is being added. Once it is added, then we should be able to use telnet command. In between the IP address of this VM is changed. Let me use this updated IP address. Now let me say telnet, then paste, then let me say 3389. Let me hit enter. You can see it is listening to port number 3389 without any issues. Now I should be able to hit control and closing square bracket and then quit to come out of it. This is how you should be able to ensure you can listen to port number 3389 on Ubuntu server from Windows machine or Mac machine. As we are able to validate using telnet successfully, now it is time for us to connect to remote desktop on Ubuntu using tools like RDP. We can connect from either Mac or Windows. Let's get into those details as well. However, if you could not get telnet working, feel free to reach out to us by commenting in comment section. Our team will be there to support you. Once you pass telnet, then only you should attempt to connect to remote desktop using relevant tools on your client. In the process of setting up Ubuntu Desktop and connecting to it remotely, so far we have installed GNOME Desktop on Ubuntu and also we have installed XRDP. To use XRDP to connect to this desktop from clients, we also need to have user along with password. Let's connect it to the Ubuntu server and then let's create user along with password. Then we'll get into the details about connecting to Ubuntu Desktop remotely from clients such as Mac or Windows. In this case, to add user, we should be able to use this command sudo then user add -m. I'm using username as ITVersity. You can choose the username of your choice. Then --shell bin bash. Now let me run this command by hitting enter. user is created, we also need to set the password. Only then we will be able to connect without any issues. To set the password for this user, we should be able to say sudo passwd, then ITVersity, which is nothing but username. Here we can set the password. Even though it said the password fails the dictionary check, it is based on a dictionary word, still I am able to create the user with password. Yeah, the user is successfully created. In case if you wanted to make user as sudo user, you should be able to use this command, sudo user mod -a capital G, then sudo ITVersity. Now ITVersity user is sudo user. I should be able to say sudo su-ITVersity. Then now I am connected as ITVersity. I should be able to say sudo ls-ltr to see if sudo is working or not. It is asking for the password. Let me enter the password here. You see it have run successfully. In case if you wanted to disable password authentication when you run sudo based commands using ITVersity, you can take required action and you can take it further. However, I don't want to get into those details at this juncture. As the user is successfully created, now I'll attempt to connect to Ubuntu server using desktop, using tools such as remote desktop or Windows app on Windows or Mac respectively. As our Ubuntu server is ready with desktop and also XRDP, now it is time for us to validate whether we will be able to connect to Ubuntu server remotely from Windows or not. For that, we can exit from here. Then we can actually search for remote desktop. You can see there is something called as remote desktop connection on Windows. On Mac, it is nothing but Windows app. Now you have to specify the computer. For this, you can specify the IP address. The IP address is nothing but this one. Let me go back here. Now let me paste. Now let me expand options here. It is letting us to enter username. Let me enter the username here. Now let me click on connect. Here I should be able to select this and then click on yes. It is asking for the password. We have to enter the password which we have used to set up the user ITVersity. I have entered the password. Now let me click on OK. You can see it is letting us to connect to desktop on remote server. However, it is saying login failed for user ITVersity. Let me click on OK. Let me try once again. I don't know why it failed for the first time. Probably I might have not entered the password correctly. This time it have worked without any issues. Now we have to complete the setup process. Here we just have to select English because I wanted to select English. If you wanted to select some other language, probably you should be able to choose unspecified and you should be able to choose the language at a later point in time, or you might be able to click on this and choose the appropriate language. But for now I am choosing English United States. Let me click on next. Here also I would like to click on next. Now let me click on start using Ubuntu. This is how you should be able to connect to remote machine once GNOME Desktop is set up on remote machine. Also XRDP is set up on remote machine. Also you need to have a user along with the password. Then only you will be able to connect. Keep in mind the port number 3389 should be opened. Otherwise it will not work. In this case, as it is set up using Ubuntu VM on Azure, we have gone to Azure portal and we have configured port number 3389 as part of the firewall rules. Depending upon your cloud platform or underlying hosting platform, you might have to use a different approach to open up port number 3389. That being said, it is already up. I just have to click on this and then I should be able to access whatever I want. For example, in this case, if I wanted to browse, I should be able to use Firefox. If I wanted to run Linux commands, I should be able to use the terminal. For that, I should be able to click on show apps. Then you can see terminal here. You should be able to click on terminal. It will open the terminal. You should be able to run the commands of your choice. Like that, you should be able to use this VM without any challenges with desktop. That being said, for some reason it is taking time. You just have to be patient. Everything will work without any issues. You can see there is a message saying the computer needs to restart to finish installing updates. As this is for the first time, probably we might have to restart and then everything will be normal. I have closed it without clicking on restart now, but I should be able to restart using this. You can see shutdown button. Let me click on this and then let me click on restart. Let me say restart. It have prompted us for the password. Let me enter the password. Now you see it is being restarted. After a while we will attempt to reconnect and we will see whether we are able to connect to it or not. you have to wait for some time. By now it should have been rebooted. Let me attempt to reconnect again. Let's see what happens. Because we have Ubuntu Desktop, it might take a little bit extra time to reboot. You have to be patient. It might fail if it cannot connect. If it fail, we'll try again. Yeah, the suspected, it have failed. Let's click on OK and wait for a few more minutes. After that, we'll try to connect again. By now, it should be rebooted. Let me try connecting again by clicking on connect. You can see this time it is working as per the expectations. Here we can select this so that we are not prompted again and again like this. Now we should be able to click on yes. We have to enter the password. You can see that we are able to connect to this remote desktop without any issues from this Windows machine. Let's also get into the details related to how to connect to it using Mac. As we have gone through the details about how to connect to remote desktop using Windows, let me also walk you through the details about how to connect to remote desktop with Ubuntu using Mac. Again, we should be able to use Windows app, which is formerly known as remote desktop on Mac to do so. Here I am coming out of my Windows. Now you need to have something called as Windows app. In my case, it is already set up. If you wanted to understand how to set it up, you can look at the description. I'll provide the link to the video. You can follow the video and you can take it forward. Previously, this is known as remote desktop, but now they have renamed it as Windows app. You can see here. Now you can say connections, then add PC. Here you have to enter the PC name. You should be able to enter the IP address. The IP address is nothing but this one. Then when it comes to credentials, you can leave like this. You can click on add. Then you should be able to double click on this. It is asking for the username. Username is nothing but ITVersity. When it comes to the password, we have to use the password which we set up for ITVersity. Let me enter my password here. Then we should be able to click on continue. Then we have to hit continue. You can see it have opened the remote desktop. Let me come out of full screen and then let me double click on this to maximize. You can see here, you should be able to click on this and you can see all the icons at the bottom. As I have already connected to this once using Windows, the setup is taken care of. If you are directly connecting from your Mac, you have to complete the setup process. In case if you are not clear about how to complete the setup process, you can go to the previous episode or chapter in this video. You should be able to get all the instructions to complete the setup process. You might have to reboot as well once you log in for the first time. This is how you should be able to connect to Ubuntu Desktop remotely from Mac using Windows app provided on the server where desktop is set up. XRDP is also set up. Now to come out of this, we can just click on this and then we are good to go. As part of this full video, we have gone through the details related to how to set up GNOME Desktop on Ubuntu and also XRDP on Ubuntu so that we can connect to Ubuntu based desktop remotely from Mac or Windows. We have gone through the details even related to connecting to Ubuntu Desktop using both Windows as well as Mac. That being said, setting up GNOME Desktop and RDP access on an Ubuntu server is straightforward and enhances accessibility by providing a graphical interface. With XRDP and your preferred desktop environment, you can efficiently manage your server remotely. When it comes to GNOME, it offers a balance of usability and resource usage, but XFCE is a great alternative for those prioritizing speed. In this guide, you have learned how to install a desktop environment, configure XRDP, and access your Ubuntu server using Microsoft Remote Desktop or Windows app on Mac. With this setup, you will have a robust remote desktop experience to streamline server management and application access. When it comes to our channel, stay tuned for further customization tips and optimization guides for Ubuntu environment and also many other details. I hope you like the content of this full video. If yes, feel free to click on the like button. If you have any feedback or suggestions for us to create content on our channel, feel free to use our comment section. In case if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to subscribe and also hit on bell icon so that you are notified whenever we upload content like this.